Hello, this is Ruben Abramov, the Haftorahman. This week's Haftarah is a special one. It's Zachor, or remember. We read this Haftarah as a supplemental reading for the special Shabbat before Purim. The holiday of Purim is celebrated this week, and in it you have the story of Esther, Queen Esther, and her uncle Mordechai, and the king Achashverosh, and you have this evil man, Haman, and he is believed to be a descendant of Amalek. Now, who are these Amalekites? These Amalekites was this nation who lived east of the Jordan River, and when the Israelites were freed or left Egypt, the whole world realized that the Jewish people were saved by God, and all the nations of the world that believed and acknowledged this was what God wanted to do, and that they were going to be His chosen people. Except for one nation, Amalek. These Amalekites, they snuck up behind the slowest walkers, the back of the pack of the Israelites when they're traveling through the desert, and they attacked them, the weakest, in the back. Not only that, they had said to themselves, we are not God's chosen people. So, if we can't be God's chosen people, then you know what? Let's just ruin it for everybody else of the Israelites. They're just spoilers. So, that is the story that we read in the Torah reading in the Parsha about the Amalekites. And this is absolutely one of the greatest Haftorahs of the whole year. And it is a story about King Saul, being instructed by Shmuel. Samuel was the last of the judges of Bnei Israel. And now Israel, the Israelites, are demanding, now that they're in the land of Israel and it's been conquered and divided amongst the tribes, that we want a king. We want to be militaristically driven. We want an army. We are up against other nations with armies. We do not want to be governed now by a spiritual leader, a Navi, a prophet, or a Shofet, a judge. So Shmuel appoints Shaul, the king over Israel. Now it says in the Torah that the king of Israel has to do three things. He has to build a mikdash, a Bet HaMikdash. He has to kill off Amalek. And he has to... I better remember what this is. Kill off Amalek, build a Bet HaMikdash, and maybe write a Sefer Torah. So, Shmuel instructs Shaul to go and kill off all of Amalek. So Shaul goes to battle against Amalek after warning the Kenites to get out of the way. The Kenites were descendants of the same group of people as Moses' father-in-law, Yisro, or Jethro. So they're out of the way. He goes to battle, and he kills off everybody except for Agag, the king of the Amalekites. Now Shmuel had told him, I want you to kill every man, every woman, every child, every animal. It seems that the Amalekites knew kishuf, or sorcery, and they were able to morph themselves from humans into animals, and Shmuel knew that, so he wanted to make sure that nobody survived from Amalek. You had to kill every person, every animal. Well, naturally, God said, Timche et Zachor Amalek, that wipe out the remembrance of the nation of Amalek. It doesn't talk about the animals. So this is a very subtle thing you'll understand in a little bit of time. The difference between what God commanded and what the Navi, or the rabbis of the day, commanded. So, Shmuel sees a vision in the middle of the night after Shaul allegedly fulfilled the commandment, the request, the command to wipe out all of Amalek. So, God comes to Shmuel in the middle of the night, and he says, your boy over there, that King Shaul, he didn't cut the mustard. He's not king material. He didn't kill everybody off. We got problems. You got to dethrone him. We have to put a new king in. And he goes in the morning in front of Shaul, and Shmuel looks at him, and he says, Shaul, what did we discuss? Didn't we say we're going to kill everybody? Why didn't you kill everything? He goes, I killed everybody that God asked me to kill. Not what the Navi said. So now, he hears the animals, moo, bah, this. So, Shmuel says to Shaul, Samuel says to Saul, why are all these animals making sounds? Didn't we say to kill off all the animals? Didn't I ask you to kill the animals? And again, Shaul answers, I did what God asked me to do. So now, he gives him the bad news. And he says, what about Agag? He says, well, in a midrash, it says, in an explanation, not in the text, it says that Shaul decided that once he killed the father of Agag, that the mother of Agag, the king of the Amalekites, was not of descent from the Amalekites, and therefore he was no longer considered to be Amalekite. He was considered to be a descendant of a Philistine or whatever. Well, he showed mercy. He had locked up this man Agag, and let's see what happens. He gets dethroned. He sends him away. And Shaul grabs the robe of Shmuel and says, please don't tear me away from the melucha, from the kingship. Well, anyway, he was taken out of the throne as the first king of Israel. Now, what do? Shmuel had to go and he had to kill Agag. And then Agag, in the interim, had morphed himself into an animal while he was in jail, according to the Midrash. And it says that he slept with another animal or another person that had morphed itself into an animal, and that from that, Haman descended. So, what do we learn from all of this? You have a guy, Shaul. He was made the king. He was a tremendous tzaddik. But sometimes you have good people, but they're not cut from the cloth to be the king, the president. He's a nice guy. He had compassion not to kill one extra human being. He saved the life of Agag, but he made a mistake. Now let's come back to this. Shmuel and Shaul. Shmuel was the spiritual. Shaul was the physical, the king. And Shaul would not listen to what Shmuel added to what the Torah said to do. And you could hear in the speaking, Shaul repeatedly says, I did what God asked me to do. I did what God asked me to do. And Shmuel, the Navi, a rabbi, is saying there is Torah, instructions that were written down, and then there's the oral Torah. I'm a rabbi. We're allowed to add, through divine inspiration, what God asked us to do. So, Timche et Zecher Amalek, yes, how do you consciously think about someone by wiping out their memory? But maybe we should suggest this, is that the sinat chinam, the hatred of one Jew had for the other, was the downfall of the nation, the downfall of the Holy Temple, the downfall of our spirituality. If someone else is successful, you have to just remind yourself to be sameach bechelko, be happy with your share in life. You probably have more than most people. Probably 95% of the people on the planet would look at you and say you're doing well. So this is something that we learned from the Haftarah this week from Parashat Zachor. Shabbat Shalom.